So welcome to our little Canvas session. We are going to start off with the basics of Canvas, showing y'all stuff I'm sure y'all have seen in other classes, and then we'll dive into one of the ways I like to use Canvas kind of like as a mind map tool, and then also showing you some tips and tricks you can do with the outline stuff. So if you're just really not happy with outlines right now in Sudowrite, this might give you a new way to actually think about using them. Let me get this shared with y'all. So just some basic information here on what Canvas is, how you use it, everything you're going to see me go through. I try to also put it here so you have as a reference. So if you forget something, maybe can't find it in the video, you should be able to find it here. Like I said right before the recording, I want y'all to know Canvas is tricky to navigate. I started using Sudowrite a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. It was in beta then. Story Engine came out in beta and they kind of, well, I don't want to say abandoned Canvas, but that's essentially kind of what happened. Canvas just didn't really get any updates. It kind of just stayed in that permanent beta thing. They do have plans for the future. However, because Canvas isn't widely used across Sudowrite, there's not a lot of demand for it. So it's very low on the priority list. So they asked us to actually not cover it too much more, just because they're aware there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. It can be confusing, it can be frustrating. So I want y'all to go into Canvas understanding that it is still technically a beta item that was never fully fleshed out and finished, but there are plans in the future for things. So one of the things you could do if you start playing around with Canvas and get a really good idea, hey, this would work great this way, maybe post it in feedback and ideas channel in Discord. Give them some other ideas from what they've seen from us already. One of the questions that always comes up, Canvas does not see anything in Story Bible. It doesn't see your characters, world building, your outline, none of that. That was one of the possible updates they had considered. So let's say you go into Story Bible, create your character descriptions or outline, it would auto-populate in Canvas or maybe vice versa. So again, those are kind of things they're looking at doing in the future if Canvas becomes that feature that's worth them spending some extra time to, where people are actually like, okay, Story Bible's good, let's work on Canvas. And I did have a very short video here. So this is the basics right here. We'll go into it a little bit more in depth, something I just recently started playing with in Canvas. But like I said, we're going to start off with the basics. All right, so to get to Canvas, it is down here in the left corner, bottom left corner, Canvas. If you are on the home screen, you may see these projects that have, I always thought it was a TV till somebody pointed out it's like an actual canvas easel. So if you click that, that means you have Canvas content, you did something in Canvas, and it will take you directly there versus you needing to click into it and then click into Canvas. So I did come up with some story ideas with chat real quick. This is kind of what we're going to use today. I don't think I should have to explain this, but just so everybody is aware, we're not going to be spending time editing this. If I was doing this for real, working in Canvas, I would go through all of the boxes you're going to see us play with, edit everything to my liking. We don't have time to do that. So I want you to be aware there's going to be a lot of disjointedness. That is stuff, if you really want to play around in Canvas, you will need to take that time, do some edits, make things more seamless for y'all. Right, so we are going to dive into Canvas and let's pick, I actually liked this one. So I am going to copy this real quick. And let's go over the basics. Let me figure out what to do with my chat box here. Put it over there. Right, so the first time you go into Canvas, there's a tutorial. If you do that tutorial, it's going to use your credits. I think I spent like 1,000 credits. Whenever I tried it out, I was just doing what it told me to do, didn't think anything of it. It does use credits if you go through that tutorial and click on the things it tells you to click on. After you've done the tutorial, you cannot bring it back. I have asked. So next time you go into Canvas, it will be this blank screen. And just the quick navigation things. If I want to go back to the project home screen, of course, the home button is going to take me back to all of my projects. Back to project is going to take me back staying in that project. So project home screen, back to this project. And then of course your regular gear settings. Down here in the right, the bottom right corner, you got your undo, redo, your zoom, zoom in, zoom out. What is the opposite of zoom? And then this question mark is like a keyboard shortcut. I can't tell you how many times people say they had all their cards, their outlines generated, and they lost it on the screen because they were navigating around and they couldn't figure out how to get back to it. So click that question mark in the bottom right corner, pull up the shortcuts, and you can see you can actually reset it to center. So that's a very helpful one. And then our cards down here. So this is just a regular blank card. And we're going to play with all this later as we go. This is just a label. So title, whatever you want it to be. And then our outline, which is what we're going to start with. And if y'all see me clicking multiple times, that is the thing like we were talking about, especially this text box. It is the most annoying one, I have to say, that to try to click into and get rid of.
I've found that clicking and dragging works really well.
I think that's what I just accidentally did. Just click it, and I'm just hitting my delete key on the keyboard. All right. So to do an outline, though, it's the 1, 2, 3 down here. Pull it up, and I'm going to zoom out just so you can see the different things. To navigate, I'm using my scroll wheel on my mouse, just scrolling, goes up and down. If I hold the shift key while I scroll, it's side to side. And then you can do whatever else you want to, but those are the easiest ways for me to navigate with it. You do have options for the outline template, these 4. So you don't have all of them from Story Bible, but you do have these 4. So I'll just scroll through these real quick. We got the hero's journey already, Hollywood beats, story circle, y'all should be familiar with. And then, of course, the romance outline. So that just gives you an idea of how the different templates look. But we are going to start with hero's journey. Actually, you know what? I want to do Hollywood beats. All right, so the basics of Canvas. I can just tell it I want a psychological thriller in this box. This is the main concept box. Sorry, let me scroll in. So this is the main concept box. It holds up to 500 words. Oh, I do not know that, Jade. I am sorry. Maybe click out of it, back into the project and click back in. That, or hold the shift key down and scroll off to the side. I would try that maybe. Okay, so this main concept box holds 500 words. You could put something just as simple as the genre in it or your story premise. If you click this right here, generate full outline, it is going to fill in all of the boxes. Thank you, Brad. So keep that in mind because that is important for the next step that I want to talk to you about. So clicking generate outline on this main box is going to fill all of these in with either that genre or story premise that I gave it. But where I think Canvas really shines, my favorite thing to use it for is where I kind of have part of my outline in, but I don't have it all. So something I can do, I'm just going to copy that same story premise into all of these boxes real quick. Move this around. So let's say I know how my story starts. I don't know this one. Yeah, sure. I know that spot. You don't have to be perfect. Just put your parts of your outline as best as you can where you think it would go. And let's say I don't know the rest of it until I get to about the end. I know how I want my story to end. Might know some other things. I'll just go throw one right here. So this is how I like to use Canvas, besides the mind mapping thing. Mind mapping is my favorite, but this part is more useful to most people. So I've put in the parts of the outline that I do know. And what I can do is go back to the beginning. Do not click this generate full outline. If I click this, it is going to overwrite everything that I've put in these boxes. But I can go back to the beginning, and then I can click this fill me in on each box in between. And I can just keep going, doing that in order. Zoom out. So I would just keep going in order because it reads back. I tried to confirm with the developers. They are pretty certain it does not read forward. They tested that. It was causing issues. So it reads back cards. Go through, click that fill me in on all of these cards. Make all your changes. So this is going to be a disjointed thing until we work on the next step. So let's say I filled in all of these cards. And I get over here, go back to the one we generated. So this is the one we generated with the fill me in. I can just edit here. I can remove stuff, add stuff. I'm not sure of the word count in these individual boxes, but if I had to guess, it was probably the 500, just like the main concept box. So you can edit manually here, put in, take away, or let's say you have no idea what you want, but you really don't like this that it gave you, you can generate options. Now, something you're not going to see because I don't think they fixed the coloring on this. I'm going to click this generate options for this card. An error message should pop up around here. And you can't see it, but it is down there. It's because nothing is in this main concept box. So if I don't want to put my story premise there, I can just put the genre. And now I can generate options for that card. So that is important that you do need something to be able to generate options for each card. And it will give you 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to click on this bottom one. Let's say I like this one. I'm going to drag it up here and drop it into that card. I don't know if y'all saw that. Were you able to see how it highlighted and everything? And I'm just going to delete these out of the way. So again, drag your card over and the card behind it will kind of just do the little dash, pop up a little bit. Since this is a part of the outline, it's not going to do it there. So again, go through, edit the story, make it yours. Once you're done, you're happy with the outline, last basic thing, copy outline to clipboard. You'd go back into your project right here. I'm just going to add a blank document. And copy it. So you see the cards that weren't filled in, and then the ones that were. So that's how you can use it. You can work on it here. Maybe you want to use the laser tools on the outline, expand things, use the rewrite to add some more details, more descriptions. You could also just bring this into your brain dump and then generate a synopsis and stuff from it. So those are the basics of using Canvas. I'm actually going to delete this. It gives you the pop-up. All right. Is there a place that says what model it works with? So Canvas is just an outlining tool. I'm sure it uses some version of GPT. I'm not sure which one, but I haven't had anything, it not generate anything on me. I'm going to pop up the hero's journey again. All right. I'm going to copy that premise. That was the wrong one, wasn't it? Yeah, because I just copied. Sorry, let me go back to that project. I forgot I copied over my own premise. All right, so we just have the basic stuff, and I'm going to put sci-fi. It's clear that it's sci-fi, but I'm just going to go ahead and put that sci-fi dystopian. I haven't found that putting style and tone and all that really affects anything inside Canvas, so I wouldn't worry about it, but you can definitely play around with it and see if it helps you. So many boxes are in my way, y'all. I'm sorry. Trying to make sure y'all can see it, but also still be able to move around. So I'm going to shove this over here. All right, so something you can do with Canvas that I really like. I'm going to go ahead and generate this full outline and zoom out. So how many times have you worked on your outline inside Story Bible and you thought it's not giving you enough chapters? Or if you're like me, you saw Tabby's outline class where she generated 2 versions of the outline and cut them together. And I thought, wow, that's awesome. So something you can do in Canvas, and again, we don't have the time to go through and edit this and make this seamless. You would need to do that step that you're not going to see me do. But something you can do is I now have this hero's journey outline, correct? We're going to pretend I went through this. I've made all the changes. I like it. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. I'm always telling y'all, find what works for you. First of all, I like to get ideas from the AI. So my preference is just taking this and copying this, and you're going to see what I'm going to do that. But another option is copying all of this outline again into your project and manually editing it down to the 500 words to fit in the main concept box, or asking ChatGPT or Quick Chat to do that for you for this next step. So either copy the same premise or your full outline thing. But something you can do is for this first outline template, I would say Hero's Journey or Hollywood Beats, but then come down here and make a new one. So most novels have a romance subplot, correct? Well, there you go. I should have actually scrolled that down more to make more room. But now I have my romance subplot down here. So I could paste that story concept in. Again, I obviously didn't edit all this. This is where it's very time consuming. It is, but I have loved the results of doing this. Get that filled in. I'm now using the romance outline. Something I did want to play around with was, I haven't tested this fully, but focus, I'm going to give it instructions and we will briefly see if it listens. Focus on the romantic subplot. Just going to leave it at that. Focus on the romantic subplot and generate a full outline. And I know, I'm sorry, y'all can't see this very well. So we have our other outline, the romance. Let's zoom in now so we can look at this romance a little bit better. Because I do want to see if it listened to those instructions. We got our protagonist. And she meets the rebellious contestant, Xander. Initial meeting is filled with debates, sparks of attraction. So it actually does look like it listened more to, it could just be coincidence since I'm using the romance outline, but it does look like it focused on their relationship for this. So now that gives me, let me zoom out again. So again, assuming that I edited all of this, that gives me my main story arc from whichever big one I used, a romantic subplot. I'm going to scroll down to make room. I'm going to hit outline again. This time, I'm going to use story circle. And again, I'm going to paste in either combining those two, preferably. The other two I did, going through again, combining everything to my liking, having Chat GPT or Quick Chat, even putting it in brain dump and having running synopsis to summarize everything for me. But I'm going to get it down to that 500 words to fit into this box. So now this is my third outline template, correct? And I'm going to tell it create a subplot filled with action and suspense. And let's see if this will listen. So generate full outline. I like story circle for the subplot just because it's shorter and I find it's very easy for me to fill in or slide in all of those little chords that it's going to generate. Let me scroll out. So all of these, I can pretty much easily fit them in somewhere into my other outline. Does that make sense what I did, or did I completely lose y'all? Do y'all understand my purpose of making 3 different outlines, even though y'all didn't see me edit them? Any questions on that? So my goal would be easier if I zoom out. Main story outline, my romance outline, or the subplot to slide into that main story, fit it wherever I need to. And then I also have my subplots. So now I can just go into all of this, each of these. Yes, it's time consuming, like I said, but I love the results. So now I can go into each of these, copy each one into my project. I would title it, and then do as you please from here. Whether it's going through manually, combining those two, reading through the pages, uploading them into Chat GPT, asking Chat GPT, hey, combine all 3 of these outlines into one cohesive outline, using Quick Chat, whatever you need to do. But this has helped me really flesh out my stories and give them some depth. And y'all, I am not a plotter. I don't want y'all to think that this is just a plotter thing. This is something, I don't get into the details. I don't get into the scene details. This is only a way for me to cement in my head how this story starts, all the major events of it, how it's going to end, so I can write it better myself. But how much in depth, how much into detail you go is completely up to you. Right, so before we move on to that, the next step, the mind map thing. Any questions on this? Any other ways y'all would want to see it kind of get used? We could always try something out. Like we always say, use our credits here in the class. You are so quiet. Makes me nervous when you are this quiet. Please feel free to speak up, y'all.
Maybe you're just explaining it very well.
Well, good.
Yeah, I don't know what to ask.
If anything's confusing, we're making great time. So the next is my fun part, just having fun.
Actually,
go ahead.
Use this in first draft, like maybe first draft to generate some premises, throw them in there, and then and clean up the chapters, or if you're doing like a series of short stories, have an overarching story arc, and then kind of do each chapter could be like a separate story. I've seen you do that in first draft. I think we did that in Halloween or
Mhm.
something. Where you use first draft. Could you take some of the content you have first draft, throw it in there, and then maybe clean it up, or use it to kind of create a cohesive series of short stories together?
The way that I would see that working is using story circle for each of the premises that first draft would give you. So I would take one story premise, put it here. As far as it being each of these individual cards a different story, that won't work because of the way the AI reads it. Now, I mean, you could just manually paste, but there's no reason to, manually paste each one from first draft into here. There's no outcome from that. So I can't tell it here. You know what? We're going to try it out just to see if I can be proven wrong. First time for everything, right? Haha. So I'm going to go into story circle and I will tell it we have 8 cards. So I'm going to tell it to generate 8 story premise ideas or generate 8 story premise ideas for a sci-fi action adventure series. Sorry, Siri thinks I'm talking to him.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Sorry about that, y'all. All right, so let's see if it will work, John. I really don't think it will. But if so, the next step would be comparing the cost between first draft and in Canvas. All right, let's see. Zoom in for y'all. Y'all let me know if y'all need me to zoom in more, zoom out, whatever. All right, protagonist. Yeah, no, same story. So that wouldn't work. I would just stick with first draft for that. But, if you have your premise from first draft, I can put each story's premise, each individual premise into this, have it generate the outline for that, and then copy each one as needed into Story Bible or my documents or whatever. Me personally, I think I would probably just stick with first draft, but I don't know. Depends on how much you want to flesh it out.
Now, if we did like do it in first draft and brought it in, could we use like the maybe where each chapter is a separate short story, but maybe they all come together in the end and do something in the because if you the initial premise, if you generate something, does it, and then you go back and change the premise, it'll update everything, right? Or do you have to go card by card to update?
It would only update for whatever card you clicked. So if I click generate, if I updated here, click generate full outline, it's going to update the whole thing. But if I just did the generate options on each card, it would just update that. But but judging from this, if I was doing the different premise things, this probably wouldn't be the way I would go. But I'm always telling y'all, find what works for you. So if you want to try it, I'm more than happy to chat with you one day about it.
Okay.
If you really want to play with it.
Okay, so this is basically an outline builder, correct?
Correct.
So if I get a good outline out of Canvas, how do I incorporate that into Story Bible when you got brain dump, synopsis, genre, world builder? Don't I have to generate stuff there? Because say like characters, most of my characters probably won't be in the Canvas.
Right. So
So
click your copy outline to clipboard, go back into your project, And you can do it again, whichever way works for you. Remember, all of these boxes inside Story Bible, you don't have to generate. You can just type things in, bring things in, copy them in, do whatever. So I can just copy that Canvas outline right here into Brain Dump. Maybe I want to stay, I like order. So I just want to go ahead and start generating my synopsis and keep things in order. Let's see how many words this are. This actually fits in synopsis, so I can just bypass Brain Dump, stick into my synopsis, and generate my outline from that synopsis if I want to do that. If I think the AI still has some room to improve things, maybe I need some more ideas. I wanted to flesh things out. I use Story Circle to generate the outline in Canvas, so maybe I want to flesh it out, the actual outline with Hollywood Beats here in Story Bible. That's another option. I can also just, if I'm completely happy with the outline, especially when I do the combine of 2 or 3 different outlines, if I'm happy with it, I can just paste it right here in my outline. I just need to, y'all know the rules by now. I just need to go through, fix my formatting so it's the Act 1 and each chapter is numbered appropriately. And from there, it's in Story Bible, so it's just a matter of which box do you want to start it in. Do you want to start in Brain Dump and start fleshing out a little bit more? Or do you just are you happy with everything and want to go straight to outline? Now, of course, like you were talking about though, to generate characters and world building, yes, you would need to put something in the synopsis or Brain Dump to be able to generate those because they are not seeing outline.
Okay,
Did that help,
yes.
Gianna?
I just wanted to let you know about Jade's question. I think it's maybe good for everybody. She was wondering if I think she means the outline in Canva. Is it Canvas or Canva? Canva.
Yeah, Canvas. I always get them confused
Canvas.
too.
If we could use that per chapter.
So you know what? That would actually be a great idea for those of you who like those lengthy chapters and stuff. So you could, yeah, you could do that. You could put your general chapter summary here and then generate the full outline from it, and it would flesh it out more. And then, of course, go through, edit again to your liking. Put that back in the outline as the the new chapter summary. This whole outline would now be your new chapter summary and generate from that. Yes, that's a good idea. I might have to play around with that actually. All right, so before we dive into my favorite part, any other questions on the outline stuff? This next part is how I like to use it just to kind of, like I call it my mind mapping thing.
Sorry, I have a question. So, do you think this would work for writing a play?
I don't see why not. It's still just giving you your outline. So if that's what you're needing help building those scenes, getting all those scenes in your head, really no issue to not to use this. And then of course, inside Story Bible, you can do your style and genre so that everything is formatted correctly in the output as far as how you want your dialogue and interior scenes and everything.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so what I like to do with Canvas, I am going to zoom out for a little bit just so I can have some room. So I like to do my character and scene cards. This is my favorite thing. Is it a waste? I don't know. I love to have those images in my head. So this card here, I'm going to make a label and I'm going to go ahead and type in it because we saw how much of a pain that was. So I'm just going to put character name here and we will fight with this to get it to move. There we go. Again, clunky, but I still love to mess with it. Can't expand this one, so that's interesting. You can expand these kind of the size, the width and all that. I'm not able to do it on there. I'm going to do another one. Oh, and actually, before we get into doing the images and stuff, I'll just show y'all one more thing. It's kind of like, where's Waldo? Except where do I click? And I think it just went away. There we go. Y'all get what I was saying about it being tricky? We're gonna make a new one. And delete that one. All right. Something else you can do. Let's say you did your outline and you needed just a couple of more chapters in there. You cannot actually add a chapter in between. Whatever the pre-filled thing is here, that's what you're stuck with. But you could do a card and put it approximately where it would go, add in your scene notes. That is an option. You just need to remember whenever you copy this outline into your project, it's not going to copy those individual cards, so you'll have to copy that separate, stick it where it needs to go. But that is something you can do if you need that extra room. So let's zoom in here real quick. So we got our Captain Yara, and this is really what I like to do. So I want to copy this. You can do your character descriptions. So once I have my characters, how I think they're going to be described, how I want them to look, I can put that in here and then visualize. And that helps me decide, okay, oh no, I don't want them looking that way. And I'll start tweaking my descriptions until I'm happy with the output. But now I can do this. Actually, you don't even need to highlight it. I'm just going to visualize that. And this is really what I love to do. You can do your scenes, your settings, so many different things right here. And so whenever you come into Canvas, even if you don't like it to use for the outline, you could have this sort of mood board right here for you, where you're seeing how all your characters look, making little connections and things like that. It's generating pretty slow. It would be cool. Oops, sorry, the chat scrolled on me. It would be cool if you could do this right from the character cards in Story Bible. Yeah. So they were talking about character profile pics. I'm hoping that's kind of what it's going to be. I want to do this again since it's taking a while. Let's refresh. They mentioned character profile pics coming. So I'm hoping that's what it'll be. Where our character card will have their description and maybe just a little image of them as well. Yeah, why isn't it working? Let's go to our spaceship. There it is, finally. Okay, it's just taking a long time, but I wanted to grab the spaceship.
Nicole, with all of the items that you have on here, is there a one-click area where a user can like download everything on their canvas at one time?
No, ma'am. So you cannot do, like, we have the outline here and these individual cards. We cannot download it all together. The only thing I can do is download or copy the whole entire outline. And that's pretty much it. You know, each individual card that had text that I want to copy over, I would need to do that. Starship Aurora.
That could be a helpful tool for script writers.
So like plotting out each character's dialogues and things like that.
No, plotting out like the acts and the scene within a specific act, being able to flesh out the scenes or the beats, but being able to have multiple webs. Sorry, my allergies are really bad. Multiple webs that you could download on the one card or one canvas.
I like that. Yeah, because I would, as many of these as I like to play with, I would like to just kind of have these somewhere else instead of popping in here. And speaking of acts, that's another good idea too. Like Jade suggested, doing the outlines on a per chapter basis. You could do it on per acts as well. I'll keep that in mind. It would require, again, the editing. You're going to have to remember that outline is prompted to give you your beginning, middle, and end. So it's going to take some editing, removing of things, putting them in the right spot. But that is another option. But this is essentially my favorite thing to do inside Canvas, is just having all of my stuff here. So now I have those characters in my head. Let's see, do we have a male anywhere in here? No, let's just do one of her team then.
Nicole, do you know what is driving this? What LLM?
I do not. I'm sure it is GPT of some kind. Obviously, we know this
Okay.
is Dolly 3, but GPT of some kind. I don't know which exact model though.
Okay, just curious.
Let's see what this does. Not much here, but I would want to actually do each individual team member of the spaceship and go through all that. You could do things, I've done fight scenes. This story was so short, we did story circle and just a very brief premise. But you could do some fight scenes just to kind of give you ideas for bringing that to life, but also for marketing purposes. What else do we have? We just had that story circle. I'm going to hop back over. Let's go into, see, I think we had a little bit done in this one. Yeah, pretty much the same thing here. This was done in a recent class. You know, just generating, I highlighted this and did the visualize for it for our elemental writers. But I could see this working great for settings, like the mountains, you know, if you have mountain ranges and all kinds of stuff described. Or Jack the Ripper. Let's see, because somebody did mention if it would trigger. Let's look for our Jack the Ripper here. And I'm going to we'll paste in our Jack the Ripper because we have, and you see it cut off here, but again, 500 word limit. And it is going slow today. But we'll see if it'll do some of the more graphic scenes here. So we have the detective. You could visualize him. And this is just a good way to, all at once, you can kind of go through and start getting the images in your head for the story. see. I
And
will.
did-
Go ahead.
Did you see how many credits the image is eating up?
So the visualize uses 2,500 credits. And actually, before we go, let's look at what else we've used. So visualize 2,500 and the outline itself 1,300. And then this one where you see the 500, 600-ish, that was the individual cards. Where we click the fill me in. So let's see, where is our? I'm just going to do this random little thing. Again, I'm just in here, generally, I'm wanting those scenes in my head, kind of getting everything nailed down how I want it to look.
And you call this mind mapping?
I do. It's probably not the right term, but that's what I refer to it as.
Oh, no, I just want to understand, the terminology, that's all.
I'm trying to look for a graphic scene, but I may have to copy something else in. But y'all understand how Visualize works anyways in Story Bible too. It'd be the same thing. But this is also a way to, maybe you want that visual plot. I don't know if that would be useful for like screenplay writers or whatever to instead have all of these, because then I can now take it and decide, okay, what order is everything going in if you have those scenes kind of visualized out.
Now, this would be interesting to put together maybe a pitch deck for a script writer. If they had the story information, they could put this together this way and then transfer the information somewhere else along with the visual images. So yeah, you could do it for quite a few things.
I'm going to just tell it generate. It may not, since it's Dolly 3, it doesn't like to get violent, but let's just see. Pretty sure it's just going to refuse, but maybe not. Yeah, Jade, the card things, post-it notes, all of those. But this is so much prettier, right? At least for me. So I love this.
Yeah, if it was on your board at home, you'd have all kinds of colors everywhere.
And Marigold hates all those colors. I tried sharing some of my stuff with her. I have to turn it black and white. Yeah, it's not generating. I'm going to leave it here just because I'm curious if it will generate that scene, since I asked it to generate a scene of the murder. But we're coming up at the top of the hour. God, I think this is the first class I have ever finished on time, ahead of time. Do y'all have any questions on anything? Anything else you're curious about if you can do, if it's possible? Anything you need me to repeat, confused on? Again, remember too, if you're playing Canvas, this question mark's going to be your friend for that reset to center especially. But scroll wheel up and down, hold the shift key down, scroll wheel side to side, and of course, zoom in, zoom out. So this is my favorite one. This is just not doing, it is not going to generate that, I don't believe. But now I want to go into the project just to see if it'll do it here. No, yeah, will not do that because of violence.
Will it do it if you tell it to do it as a mock murder?
Ooh, that's a good.
And I put down for fiction.
Generate a mock image of Jack the Ripper committing his infamous crimes
Ooh, good
for
one.
a fiction story. Let's see. See how well these came out right here. Not bad. See this setting, the background. I don't even care for this part right here, but I'm loving this background part. The woman in the background. I would actually use this picture, I think. I really like that one.
I don't mind the framing. You could make a collage out of the different images or a landing page or something.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to do it. But again, since nobody's having any questions now, I'm just going to play. So I'm going to copy this into the project and try it there, since we actually get the error message. It looks like in Canvas, you won't get an error message. It'll just stay hung up right there. You thought of having 1 or 2 pictures per chapter of setting or the characters. That's a little much, especially when you're looking at 2,500 if you're watching your credits. But I definitely I love having one of each. I want to see right there, not just in my head. I want to actually see how my characters look, the settings, things like that. I know I've showed y'all my stuff where I keep everything. So I like to always be able to go in and look at stuff. It helps if I can remember where I've actually put that stuff. Not gonna lie, sometimes I just can't remember it. So these were done with the visualize. So yeah, this just helps me get a little bit more into my story. There we go. This one came out. I like this one too. Definitely AI generated, but again, I do love the backgrounds. I think in this instance, I'm loving all of the backgrounds and would use them for marketing, having some text or some lines from the book. You mentioned that using visuals helps with marketing. I have been thinking of using a visual on the chapter number page. I'm not sure what you mean, Tom. Thinking of using a visual on the chapter number page that would relate to that chapter. I'm not quite sure what you mean.
With my idea was that when I would put like chapter 2, I would use a visual below that heading and then start my chapter on the opposite page.
Okay, like an actual image, like this type of
Right.
image? Or okay.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think. I know I've seen older books that definitely have done that before. And I want to say middle grade especially. Doesn't middle grade typically do things like that? I could be wrong since I don't write it, but it seems like I've seen that before.
Yes, and it's not just at the beginning of, say, a chapter. They might have it spaced out in some chapters.
Like if something, a really good setting or a really good little plot point or just something additional.
Okay, so adding the visual at the point where it comes up in the chapter as opposed to having it at the beginning of the chapter.
Right. Now I would do market research, if we're talking about stuff other than middle grade, because I can't think of anything that I would see, but that does make me want to test out how it will look for like a romance novel, since we tend to rotate POVs. How would it look if we had a bunch of small little square images of those main characters? This is Aiden's POV, and you got your little profile picture of Aiden right there. I kind of now wonder how that would go over.
Just keep in mind that if it's an ebook, then that's fine. There is going to be like a small deliverable charge, and images take up more space. But where you may come into an issue with publishing is if you have a lot of colored images in your manuscript and you want a print book as well. If you want them to remain color, that's going to kick up your print cost.
Well, but with the new digital printing presses, color has become really affordable.
I just take a look at it because you'll be able to see what the printing costs are if you're self-published.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Marigold. All right, it may be my internet and not Sudowrite having an issue today.
Quick question though, but I'll switch over to Canvas. How do I get rid of the tutorial?
Somebody else asked that. I clicked through it. It will use your credits. So I suggested maybe clicking out of it, like going back into the project or back into your home screen, then jump back in and see if that got rid of it or not. And somebody said Control A and delete. Thank you, Jade. All right, so quick recap. Canvas down at the bottom left, click into that. You have your cards down here. Again, you can do multiple outlines, combine those, have your little mood board with your settings and characters, things like that. Just play around with it, have fun. Yes, it is clunky. Y'all saw the issues. Still needs some work, but I am really hopeful that sometime in the future, Canvas kind of gets a little makeover and becomes more intuitive and even more fun. Oh, all right. Before I close down the recording, are there any other questions on anything? Okay, and Ryan said, I was finally able to delete the tutorial by highlighting all of it with the mouse and clicking delete. So for those watching the recording, try that. And once you go through the tutorial that one time, you don't have to worry about it again.
So could you please explain a little bit about the brain dump part?
About copying the outline into the brain dump?
No, how does the brain dump itself work?
Okay,
If you
I'm
want
going
us
to recommend you watch the 101s and 201s for that to go more into depth, but essentially your brain dump is where you tell it all of your story ideas.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be in any order, and then you just like tell it everything you know about your story.
You can tell it everything. If you're new to using Sudowrite, this is something we actually suggest is starting with a story from scratch. So I, like many other people, tried to bring in a half-written story. It was very frustrating for 2 weeks. So I started a new project and I only put a 1-sentence summary in here. I knew just that 1-sentence premise for my story. And then I started working through the boxes from there, reiterating, revising, adding, changing things up. Yeah, essentially your brain dump is
So the starting point.
right, yeah. And some people, they have so much here that they can't fit in the 2,000 words, so they might break it up per act. So their brain dump, synopsis, outline, all of their boxes may only be working in an act at a time. And then once they're done with act 1, they go back to brain dump, switch everything over to act 2, kind of repeat the process to go through it. I like to use brain dump, just keeping it very simple. So I put all of my major plot points, that's it. I save all of my scene details, going into depth on anything when I get to my beats. But again, that's a whole nother session. So for those who do not know, if you're not in our Discord, click on the question mark. You will see the join our Discord right here. You can go to that. And when you go to the Discord, there is this course videos channel right here. You can search for a certain class, a certain topic, or just scroll through and see what they have. Do we have anybody that's brand new? Like you've been using Sudowrite for less
Yeah,
than a
I'm
week.
brand new, and thank
Okay.
you for you explaining that.
I am going to grab this for you. This was the session we did on the new characters and world building stuff. So there you go. This has all 3 classes right here that we did. So you could just jump to those, plus it also has the reference things that you can look at. So that'll help you get a good start on seeing the possibilities with our new updated templates and everything. Yes.
Awesome.
Please, y'all, I highly recommend watching the classes in the course videos channel. Those are the recorded versions. If you can make them live, go to the Luma website right here. Is that, you'll see we got plugins. Every Monday is plugin school, so she's doing outlines today. And there's always all kinds of topics. So these are our core curriculums, so 101s, 201s, 301s. Usually has a different teacher teaching each week, so you can learn from different workflows. If you type in or work in other languages, that 401 with Manon is for you. And then we have like the Write With Me and a beginner series scheduled for next week or next month. So check those out. Lots of things to hopefully help y'all get on track, and please ask questions in the Discord. All right, I am going to hang around for a few minutes. I know some people are shy, don't like to ask things on camera, but I'm going to wrap up the recording. So thank you all for hanging out, and I hope you get to playing around with Canvas and enjoy it. Bye.